Welcome. Good afternoon. I'm Dan Doherty, FBLA co-president, along with Jessica Nelson and Sean Mears. Welcome to the induction ceremony for the Future Business Leaders of America Club. The FBLA crest illustrates the importance of our mission: to bring business and education together in a positive working relationship through innovative leadership and career development programs. FBLA provides opportunities for each member to become a leader of tomorrow. FBLA is the largest business career student organization in the world, starting at the middle school level through the collegiate level. Washington Township is fortunate enough to also have a middle school level chapter at Bunker Hill as well. Our mission is to bring business and education together in a positive working relationship through innovative leadership and career development programs. Please welcome our advisor, Mrs. Sarah Simpson.
I say good morning all day long, so good morning. 7th period. I am Mrs. Simpson, as you know. I believe this is my 7th year as advisor. I've been counting them, but I'm not exactly sure. And I'm proud to welcome a lot of you back, and some of you here for your first time as freshmen, as sophomores, as transfer students. You had an opportunity to take on just a wonderful organization to be able to grow and develop with it. This year we have exactly 100 members, exactly to the T. Those members are National Merit Scholar winners. They are top of their class seniors, superintendents, cabinet members, club presidents, scholar athletes, upcoming stars, and many, many, many future business leaders. This is FBLA's 78th year. Their theme is a world of opportunity. You'll get your shirts today which say a world of opportunity. And every year, it's always a generic theme, which leaves us to interpret it in any way that we want to. And I stand proud before you because in my heart, I truly feel that you are in a place with a world of opportunity. Our district provides you with so many experiences that a lot of schools don't. You have the opportunity to make friends, to grow, to try organizations, to fail, to grow and see what suits you best. And what suits you best might not suit your friends. And you have a chance to make new friends and grow as you're doing it. We live in this ever-changing world. I said to fail. Some of the best moments that you're going to have are trying and failing. Seizing a moment, trying something that you didn't do. And as I was thinking what I wanted to say to you, and it comes up in classes, and I'm about 20 years older than you guys, and some of those guys might be even a little older, but think about it. When we were your age, there were no cell phones. There was no text messaging. There was no YouTube. There were no drones. There were no smartphones. I had a pager. We had a whole code. We could communicate that way. And yet we're here. And a lot of my peers are doing jobs that pertain to this technology and these advancements. So many of you sitting here right now going, okay, I'm gonna major in this, I'm gonna major in that. You might not even realize you're gonna major in something, but your job doesn't exist. Some fun facts. Text messaging, 1992. I didn't know it existed that long ago, but the first text message in 1992, I remember getting mine in 2003 in an argument with a boyfriend, and all of a sudden some words popped up on my screen, and I go, what in the world is going on? It was life-changing. And now you guys communicate as an everyday way that way. We used to pay per text message. Can you imagine that now? CIA started drones in 2002. We were commercialized by 2006, but if you notice, it's now almost a decade later, more than a decade later, where the everyday person can afford this technology and changing our lives. Social media, back in my college days, MySpace, you probably don't even know what that is, but around 2003, and then it grew, and the purpose of what it was doesn't always develop into what it is. YouTube, we say that. My daughter, they live on YouTube. How many of you have your own YouTube channel? Anybody? I have one as a teacher. I put my lessons up there. I've seen a lot of them. How many of you have ever blogged? Blogged. Made a blog, posted something. All right. A lot of these things that you will do as jobs, who's ever heard of an influencer? All right, so now the hands are up. People who influence others through Instagram, through social media. That wasn't a job option. Nobody thought of that. I have a lot of friends who get paid to do commission links for Amazon, and everybody buys them, and then they get free stuff. And these are jobs that I sat in your shoes in marketing class in DECA in high school, and I knew nothing about because nobody did them. Or maybe they did them in a completely different way. And I've looked and looked and looked through YouTube from a video from when I was in college that showed that the jobs that are out there when you graduate, a lot of them won't exist yet. So I encourage you, I challenge you to embrace that unknown and know that just because you're going to school for, say, accounting or for marketing, marketing is going to be very different in another 5 years. Our accounting class had the opportunity to speak to Josh Jenkins, Alex's cousin, yesterday through a web chat, and he was in Cleveland, Ohio, partner at EY. And it was really interesting to see how he even talked about his own profession. And he enlisted a challenge to the students and said, make the profession what you want it to be. It doesn't have to be where you wear a suit and tie every day. And he said he went to a steel mill and had to wear a suit and a hard hat. And he said now he can wear jeans to work. And ladies and minorities, just that industry alone, they talked about the high level of it being just a very white man profession. And now he could list the statistics of how much the opportunities have grown. So never let anything stand in your way, and never say, well, it's not done like this prior. It doesn't have to be done the way it's always been. What will be your next big thing? Our club has had a lot of success in the past few years. We've grown, we've taken challenges, we've sent students to national competition. If we could recognize here with us right now, Colin Lee and Morgan Davis, who both attended the national competition in San Antonio last summer. Colin took 7th in personal finance in the entire country, and they both did a great job. Our Consumer Bowl team, which many of you don't know because it's not fully FBLA, but our Consumer Bowl team competes in a knowledge bowl about New Jersey consumer laws. The Division of Consumer Affairs runs it. Graduated Mike McEntee, Ava Pizarro, and John Miller, along with Colin Lee, were our team last year, and Sean as our alternate. They've won the regional competition for 3 years in a row, and we expect that they will do the same this year, joined with them with Dan Oberman, Oshez Bajwa, Sean as a competitor, and Jake Minnick to join the team. So they have a great time. They have to know their stuff in and out, all the laws that you probably don't even think that they would have to know. What was the one year? Christmas tree lights? They search the national or the state briefs, and they have to learn all the safety features and the laws and the fines. It's an extensive amount of work that they put into the club. Yeah. I'd like to thank all of our esteemed guests for being here today. We have a huge panel over there. Mr. Jack McGee, Mr. Steve Greger, Mr. Bollendorf, our principal Jonathan Strout, Mr. Savarese, Mr. Cordner, our supervisor, Mr. Whalen, as well as all of my business teachers and all of the teachers, as it can be a club for many. We've reached out to the teachers that are involved in video production and engineering, and there's a lot of events that we span many, many areas of curriculum. So, Mr. Hanlon, thank you for being here as well. At this time, I'm going to introduce our co-president, Sean Mears, and he's going to lead us in our candle lighting ceremony.
So today, our vice presidents Colin Lee, Jake Minnick, and Dan Oberman will now each share with you the 3 pillars that represent the FBLA ideals while our officers light the corresponding candles. I'm going to light the, oh, it's already lit for me, never mind. As you're called, officers, please come up to the table and light the candle. I'd now like to introduce our VP of Service, Dan Oberman.
The word service denotes the idea that every individual should be interested in taking responsibility for promoting better social, political, and family life. Community service activities help the chapter get involved and contribute directly to the community. Members recognize the importance of being responsible citizens and forming networks with business and community leaders. At this time, our community coordinator, Morgan Davis, will light the gold candle, which designates our first pillar of FBLA service. I'd now like to introduce our Vice President of Education, Colin Lee.
Education. The word education is symbolic of the idea that education is the right of every individual. Educational activities increase a member's knowledge of various business careers, providing valuable career orientation and goal-setting opportunities. At this time, our secretary, Christina DiMaggio, will light the white candle, which designates our second pillar of FBLA, education. I'd now like to introduce our Vice President of Progress, Jake Minnick.
Progress. The word progress represents the challenges of tomorrow, which depends on mutual understanding and cooperation of business, industry, labor, religious, family, and educational institutions, and by the people of our own and other lands. At this time, our treasurer, Sophia Shramiak, will light the red candle, which designates our third pillar of FBLA, progress. Now we would like to introduce our department supervisor, Mr. Steve Whalen, to present the installation of officers.
Before I start, I just want to commend everyone for being part of this great organization. Getting dressed up today on a Friday, I think, is a big part of that, and I commend you for doing that. I also encourage you to take advantage of the organization and the things that are going to be before you. There's a big part of FBLA, and part of it is leadership, and all of you are aspiring leaders, and all of you, whether you are in a business class or not, business is part of it as well. And with that being said, curriculum, all the areas that we have here at the high school all kind of lead back to business or a career in business. So business leaders, you are aspiring, and again, I commend you for being part of this organization and take advantage of the opportunities. So with that being said, I'd like to do the installation of officers. As I call your name, please come to the front of the FBLA table to recite our officer pledge together. Dan Doherty, Jessica Nelson, Sean Mears, Dan Oberman, Colin Lee, Jake Minnick, Jason Leonard, David Forcentino, Christina DiMaglio, Harrison Rue, Megan Smith, Morgan Davis, Sophie Shamarick, and Osha Bashwa, sorry. I didn't want to mess it up too bad. All right. So please recite after me. After I state your name. I state your name. As an officer of the future business leaders of America, do solemnly promise to carry out the responsibilities of my office to the best of my ability and to perform them in accordance with the bylaws of FBLA. I now formally recognize you as members of the FBLA Executive Board with all the rights and privileges of your designated leadership title in good standing. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Whalen, for your support as CTE supervisor. It is the task of our officers to select someone they felt could share testimonial and experiences that fit this year's FBLA theme with all of our aspiring future business leaders. Chosen by myself and our executive leadership team, we choose Mr. Hugh Connolly, the Executive Vice President and Chief Lending Officer of Huntington Valley Bank. Hugh has a world of experience and opportunities to share with our club. I introduce with honor my godfather, who graciously offered to share his time with us today, Hugh Connolly.
Good afternoon. I'm going to just give you a quick rundown on my business career, a little bit about my education, and then wrap it up with a couple of thoughts and pearls of wisdom for you guys to live by. Again, my name is Hugh Conley. As Jessica said, I'm an Executive Vice President and Chief Lending Officer at Huntington Valley Bank in Philadelphia. In that role, I lead a group of commercial bankers. We help businesses grow by providing capital to fuel their growth. It's a new role that I'm in, starting up the commercial lending group for this bank. Previously, they mostly did residential mortgages, so this is my 5th startup. But let me just give you a quick recap as my career started. I grew up in a large Philadelphia-based bank. They hired me out of college, trained me, paid for my master's degree. I got to work with entrepreneurs around the U.S. and Europe. As I began to work with entrepreneurs, I found a lot of their ideas, enthusiasm. It became contagious, and it rubbed off on me. I left my role as a director in the investment bank to start an internet leasing company in 1999. Today, it'd be called a fintech. We were years ahead of the market and ended up failing when the internet bubble burst. So I was glad when Ms. Simpson was talking about don't be afraid to fail, because I'm really good at that. But I'm even better at picking myself up and moving forward, so don't be afraid to fail. We had raised venture capital money and had an offer of $15 million right before the bubble burst, all based on a 22-page PowerPoint. It was insane. We were going to be the commercial version of PayPal, which still doesn't exist today. But at the time, we just got squished by the market. The market moved, and we had to move on. The business failed. We went back and got our regular jobs. We thought maybe we had had our turn at being an entrepreneur. But once that entrepreneurial spirit gets in you, it kind of stays. Maybe as future business leaders of America, you might know what I'm talking about. Next, I was asked to start a finance company for a bank, which I did. That company is still successfully operating today. But in that role, we made other people rich, not ourselves. So my business partner and I decided to leave, start a new company now that we had proven we could successfully build and grow a company. We started Vanguard Leasing in 2006. We ended up selling it to a bank, and after I satisfied my employment contract, I left to retire. I had achieved my goal of financial independence, and after years of doing what I had to do, I finally had a position where I could do what I chose to do. It's a big difference, even if that meant choosing to just sit at home and do nothing all day. I ended up getting introduced to the CEO of Huntington Valley Bank. He asked me to build them a commercial bank, and fast forward, here I am. It was a short retirement. In my life, I've taken 50% pay cuts 3 times to try and do something new. That takes courage, financial responsibility, because I was married and had children and a family to support. But because we always lived beneath our means, meaning that we spent less than we made, it gave me the opportunity to take these chances when they arose. Don't spend more than you make. It sounds pretty obvious, but it's a great, simple lesson and a rule to live by. Don't spend more than you make. Pay yourself first by setting aside money out of every paycheck once you get out into the real world, and make sure you save and invest for the future. It gives you the financial flexibility to do so many more things in your life. I want to jump into the education side a little bit, because that's probably more relevant for you guys as you come out of high school and go off into college. Coming out of high school, my friends were going to big-name schools. I was not. I got into Rutgers-Camden, was planning on being an electrical engineer. Honestly, it sounded like a really cool gig, but I had no idea what it would involve. I have to admit, I was embarrassed that I wasn't going to a bigger school or living away. It was awkward when I would bump into friends' parents and they'd ask how I was doing, and I'd have to tell them, I'm going to school, commuting, living at home, blah, blah, blah. It was worse for me when I flunked out of the engineering school and transferred to community college. Now, when I saw friends' parents, I turned and went the other way. I was wrong to feel that way, but as a young kid, I didn't know any better. Honestly, I wasn't ready for college when college was ready for me. I should have gone to community college, figured out what I wanted to do, and then transferred to a 4-year school, which is eventually what I ended up doing. I graduated from Temple with a degree in finance and a 3.5 GPA, and this was the kid who flunked out of engineering school with a 1.875 GPA. Life is a marathon, not a sprint. When you're young, you don't see that. You think in minutes, hours, days, maybe weeks. As an adult, time slows down, and you begin to think in terms of weeks, months, years, even decades. Remember that as you go off to school. Wherever you go, hold your head up, but don't brag. Many of my friends who went off to the big schools, they failed too. They just had a lot more student loan debt. I remember one parent who was bragging to me one day about her daughter at the Air Force Academy. A year later, that mom had to eat crow because the daughter was no longer at the academy. So be humble too. The mighty often fall. At some point in your career, you may need to make a change. Might be your major, might be your school, might be your job. Don't fear change, embrace it. So here are my words of advice. When you go off to college, your major is more important than the school you go to. Look up the income levels for your career and your major. You don't want to end up with $100,000 in student loan debt and then get a job making $40,000 a year as a clerk at a mortgage company. That math won't work. You'll end up paying those loans for a very long time. Try to focus on degrees that have substance. Avoid the, I'll call them, I hope I don't offend anybody, avoid sort of the fluff degrees, management. You're not going to get a degree in management and then get hired to manage people. It doesn't work that way. There's a website I'd like you to write down. It's called www.doug-weber with two B's, WEBBER.com. And Doug puts a list together. He's a PhD economist at Temple, and he tracks the income level of careers. So I ask you a question. This is my audience participation. How many of the top 10 highest paying jobs include science or engineering in their job title? How many of the top 10 include science or engineering in their name? Any guesses? You got 3? No. 0. Wow. All right.
I said that too.
Yeah.
You're
Anybody
wrong.
else? 9. Okay, he cheated. He looked. Miss? No, go ahead. 7. The answer is 8. So 8 of the top 10 highest paying jobs are either science or engineering jobs. The other 2, finance, which was me, and economics. Next, don't overpay for your education. Who would pay $50,000 for a brand new car when you could get that same exact car down the street for $25,000? You can buy an education anywhere. Get the best value. Remember, life's a marathon, not a sprint. The early winners aren't often the ones who finish the race first. If you're not sure what to do after high school, think about what you like doing, see what careers align with that, check out those salary levels, and go to an affordable school. Don't over-leverage yourself with a lot of student loan debt. Live below your means, save and invest, and the rest will take care of itself. Last piece of advice. Don't drink shots at college ever. Nothing good ever comes of it. You don't want to be that kid. Just don't do that. And thank you very much.
Just for you. We'd like to present Mr. Connolly with one of our FBLA shirts for this year. You are now an inducted member as well. Thank you. I tell a lot of you stories, and what he said is absolutely true. One of my good college friends who then lived in my house for a year, she went away to a private New Jersey school because she didn't know what she was going to do. 1 year at that school, and we're talking 20 years ago, cost her $50,000. And she transferred out and didn't like it in 1 year, and then came to school with me at Rowan. And we're now, I'm pretty sure she's still paying for that first $50,000. I've also had friends that I've known that went to, say, Rowan, and this was a long time ago, but I had a good friend, who left Rowan to go to Camden County. And you would say, why would someone do that? It was because Camden County had the nursing program that she wanted to go into, and Rowan's medical program wasn't very developed. So think about what you really want to do, not where you want to go. That's just amazing advice. Thank you so much for being with us. At this time, we would like to induct all of you as Future Business Leaders of America members, and I'd like you to take your programs, and on the back, you can read through. You're about to take an important step. Your qualifications have been examined. You've been recommended for formal membership of the Washington Township FBLA chapter. This is an important occasion for you and for us. The organization exists because it has high purpose to which all who become members commit themselves to our guiding principles: service, education, and progress, which fulfills our mission statement. Will all the members, including our officers, please rise and recite the FBLA pledge that is on the back of your program together with me. I solemnly promise to uphold the aims and responsibilities of future business leaders of America, Phi Beta Lambda, and as an active member, I shall strive to develop the qualities necessary in becoming a responsible business leader. I now declare you to be members of the Washington Township chapter of FBLA with all rights and responsibilities of membership for 2019-2020. Thank you very much. You're an FBLA. So our week is concluding with our FBLA testing, and this is the first time we've ever had an induction and testing in the same week, so I've had a lot of communications with you. If you haven't tested for your regional test, we'll be staying today and doing that, and I've talked to all of you. And I know one of the biggest things everyone wants to know is, when do we find out? It's normally within a week, and being that the holiday is very closely upon us, I'm expecting, just from past precedents, that we should hear by next Friday. There was a couple years where they actually tweeted out the results, and you guys found it before me. Most of the time, they will send it to me in a document, and as soon as I hear, give me 1 hour to put it all together, max, and I will send it to you as well. If you don't get chosen to move forward to the next level, I will call a quick meeting, or come see me if you can't make it, so we can talk about some of the projects that start at the state level. But I encourage all of you to take that on. Our state competition, if you've never been, is more of a leadership conference than just a competition. You'll get to choose a pathway. Normally it's finance, marketing, hospitality, or last year was a type of logistics management, and you can go to designated workshops for that while you're there. Closing remarks are always something nice, and I was thinking about it, and your superintendent, Mr. Bollendorf, was never principal while you were here. So you didn't get to hear speeches throughout the years, and you didn't get to take on. Mr. Bollendorf did go through my department and as a CTE teacher, and he's gone through DECA, and I just thought it would be a great opportunity for him to get to speak to you one-on-one. We see him in his high capacity, but I see him as our friendly business teacher. So with no further ado, Mr. Bollendorf.
Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Friday. Best day of the week. Would you agree? No doubt. I want to congratulate Mrs. Simpson and also the leaders of your FBLA department. I've been obviously a part of this district for a long time, and I don't think I'm incorrect in stating this is the largest membership that FBLA has had in a very, very long time, and that's a real commitment on your part as the leader and your team up here in terms of growing it. I want to thank Mr. Connolly for his words today, and it's kind of interesting because it kind of ties into the theme of my message, which really ties into your program. If you look on the front of your program, it's talking about a world of opportunity. And when we talk about degrees and moving forward in your life, I think really the most important message that I can leave you with today is your ability to recognize and take advantage of opportunity and putting yourself in a position that allows you to do so. Mr. Connolly talked about that, the 3 different times that he took less pay in order to take advantage of what he perceived to be as an opportunity. That even though on some occasions when he perceived an opportunity and took advantage of that opportunity, even when the opportunity failed, he picked himself up and moved forward, because that's going to happen. So I kind of liken the world of opportunity to your journey in life down a river. And your degrees, your experience, your education, the things that you gather really are the tools by which you build that boat that navigates that river. And along that river, there's going to be tributaries, there are going to be creeks, and those things are going to be perceived opportunities. Opportunities for you to move that boat in a different direction to see what awaits, that is something better around that corner. It's a calculated risk, but the most important thing that you must have is the appropriate boat to be able to navigate all the opportunities that may come your way. So choosing degrees that are going to provide you with flexibility, because the one thing that I think your generation is facing more so than our generation ever could even imagine You know, we went for degrees that were pretty much lockstep, jobs that hadn't changed in eons and had no knowledge that they would be changing anytime soon. Most people went for degrees in accounting, in finance, as was said earlier, management, and never truer words were spoken. I didn't know anybody that graduated with a degree of management that went right into management. Does not happen, okay? But today, the likelihood that some of you, if not most of you sitting in front of us, are going to be doing jobs 4 years from now that don't even exist today is a whole new way of thinking about life. So what opportunities are there? The river has really changed, and the amount of tributaries and creeks that come across your way are constantly shifting and moving. Some of them don't even exist. So as new opportunities arise, as the shape of the landscape changes, new rivers are formed. So you need to be in a boat that's going to allow you to take advantage of those opportunities as they come your way, to be as flexible and as diverse as you can possibly be, to put yourself in a position where you can critically think. So regardless of what degree you have, you're able to accept challenges, come up with ideas to meet those challenges, and take advantage of those opportunities. So the first opportunity that you've now at least recognized is your membership in FBLA. Because that membership is going to provide opportunity for you to meet new people, to be a part of something that perhaps you've never been part of before. And perhaps through that process, additional opportunities will present itself. So whether you recognize it or not, you've made a good decision by availing yourself to an opportunity. My hope is that you'll take advantage of it. Hope you all have a great weekend, and good luck with the rest of your school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bollendorf. All right, it's that time where everything is going to come to a close. Some of our events coming up, we have organized a Pat Select fundraiser for Monday night, or Monday all day, so 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. If you could eat in or take out. It's Tuesday? It's Tuesday. Man, I need to make dinner for Monday then. I was planning Monday. Tuesday is our fundraiser. I apologize. We'll be sending out the flyer for that, so if you could get takeout or eat in, you do have to leave your receipt. We've done well. We made a good amount of money at our PJ's fundraiser and Cold Select so far. We were donated about $200 to March of Dimes for your pumpkin fundraiser, so thank you very much. And we'll be doing some more throughout the year. So we're waiting to find out about regionals. We have our fundraiser Tuesday, and then our upcoming states is March 18th to 20th that we'll plan ahead for. Okay. I can't say how proud I am of you, that I am all the time. Being part of FBLA really changes the dynamic, what I do every day, being a teacher, the faces, the relationships that we build, and you build with other teachers and advisors and coaches throughout the building. And it's just something that is it makes teaching worthwhile. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. I'm going to ask that you can hang around, and we're going to try and get our yearbook picture up here, some down the bottom and some at the top once we get done. And then we will move over to the junior cafeteria A for a little celebration and refreshments. If you do need to go back to your 8th period, I can write you a pass to do so. If and only if you have 8th period privilege as a senior to go home, you can go at that point. Any questions? Thank you again for being here. Thank you to all of our administration, to Mr. Connolly for his time. Good night.